In the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean, a realm of tranquility and beauty, a sinister force has been lurking beneath the surface, striking fear into the hearts of sailors and merchants alike. For centuries, pirate ships have been a scourge on the high seas, preying on unsuspecting vessels and plundering their valuable cargo. The Indian Ocean, with its bustling trade routes and rich marine resources, has become a hotbed of pirate activity, with these modern-day buccaneers using sophisticated tactics and weaponry to carry out their nefarious deeds. The attacks often begin under the cover of darkness, with pirate ships emerging from the shadows like ghosts, their crews armed to the teeth and bent on mayhem. The pirates, often disguised as fishermen or cargo vessels, use their knowledge of the ocean and its rhythms to outmaneuver their prey, exploiting the element of surprise to devastating effect. Their vessels, fast and agile, can outrun most commercial ships, and their crews are skilled in the art of ambush, able to overpower and overwhelm their victims with ease. The pirates' motives are as varied as the cargo they steal, from the lucrative hijacking of oil tankers and cargo ships to the kidnapping of sailors and passengers for ransom. Some pirate groups have even been known to operate with the tacit approval of corrupt government officials, who turn a blind eye to their activities in exchange for a share of the spoils. As the pirate menace continues to spread, the international community is faced with a daunting challenge: to confront and defeat these maritime marauders, and to restore safety and security to the Indian Ocean. But as we delve deeper into this complex and treacherous world, we begin to realize that the truth behind pirate attacks is far more complex and nuanced than we ever imagined. The Indian Ocean, a vast expanse of water that has been a vital trade route for centuries, connecting the East and the West. However, this strategic importance has also made it a hotspot for piracy, with pirate ships wreaking havoc on unsuspecting vessels. The problem of piracy in the Indian Ocean is a complex one, with roots that stretch back decades. In the early 2000s, a surge in piracy attacks was reported off the coast of Somalia, with pirate ships targeting merchant vessels, oil tankers, and even naval ships. The pirates, often armed with heavy artillery and rocket-propelled grenades, would board the ships, take the crew hostage, and demand hefty ransoms in exchange for their safe release. As the years went by, the problem only escalated, with the pirates becoming increasingly brazen and sophisticated. They began to use motherships, large vessels that would anchor in the middle of the ocean, serving as a base for smaller, faster attack ships. These attack ships, often equipped with advanced navigation systems and communication devices, would then fan out to hunt for prey, leaving the mothership to provide logistical support and shelter. The pirates also developed a network of informants and spotters, who would provide them with real-time intelligence on the movement of ships in the area, allowing them to strike with precision and speed. The impact of these pirate attacks was devastating, not just for the shipping industry, but also for the global economy. With millions of dollars worth of cargo being held hostage, and ships being forced to take lengthy detours to avoid the pirate-infested waters, the costs began to add up. Insurance premiums skyrocketed, and the shipping companies were forced to hire expensive security teams to protect their vessels. The human cost was also significant, with many sailors and crew members being held captive for months, subjected to physical and psychological abuse, and even killed in some cases. The international community was slow to respond to the crisis, and it wasn't until 2008, when a Ukrainian ship carrying tanks and weapons was hijacked, that the world finally took notice. The United Nations passed a resolution calling for international cooperation to combat piracy, but the problem persists to this day, with pirate ships still attacking vessels in the Indian Ocean, and the roots of the problem remaining largely unaddressed. The question remains: what is driving these pirates to continue their attacks, and what can be done to bring an end to this scourge on the high seas? As we delve deeper into the world of pirate ships attacking in the Indian Ocean, a more complex and intriguing picture begins to emerge. It's a story of geopolitics, economic interests, and the darker side of human nature. The Indian Ocean, a vital trade route connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa, has long been a hotspot for piracy. But what drives these modern-day pirates to take such risks, and what are the underlying factors that enable them to operate with relative impunity? One key factor is the lack of effective governance and law enforcement in the region. The Indian Ocean is a vast and largely unpatrolled area, with many countries bordering its waters having limited resources and capabilities to combat piracy. This power vacuum creates an environment in which pirates can thrive, often with the tacit support or outright complicity of local authorities. In some cases, pirates have even been known to form alliances with corrupt government officials or military personnel, who provide them with intelligence, supplies, and protection in exchange for a share of their spoils. Another crucial element in the pirate economy is the demand for ransom payments. When a ship is hijacked, the pirates will typically contact the vessel's owners or insurers, demanding a hefty ransom in exchange for the safe release of the crew and cargo. These payments can be substantial, often running into millions of dollars, and they provide a powerful incentive for pirates to continue their activities. However, what is less well known is that some shipping companies and insurers have been accused of secretly negotiating with pirates, paying ransoms without notifying authorities, and even providing pirates with information about upcoming shipments. The pirate ships themselves are often tiny, makeshift vessels, crewed by a handful of desperate and well-armed individuals. They use advanced technology, including GPS and satellite communications, to track and intercept their prey. Once a ship is hijacked, the pirates will typically take it to a hidden anchorage, where they will siphon off the cargo and transfer it to smaller vessels for distribution on the black market. The pirates' tactics are often brutal and indiscriminate, with crew members subjected to physical and psychological abuse, and in some cases, even murdered. As we explore the hidden truth behind pirate ships attacking in the Indian Ocean, it becomes clear that this is a highly organized and sophisticated operation, with a complex web of players and interests involved. The pirates themselves are often just the tip of the iceberg, with more powerful forces pulling the strings from behind the scenes. To truly understand the nature of piracy in the Indian Ocean, we must look beyond the stereotypes and myths that surround it, and examine the underlying economic, political, and social factors that drive this phenomenon. By doing so, we may uncover some uncomfortable truths about the world we live in, and the darker forces that shape our global economy. The reality is that piracy in the Indian Ocean is a symptom of a broader set of problems, including poverty, corruption, and inequality, and that addressing these underlying issues is essential to combating piracy and creating a more secure and prosperous future for all. As we delve deeper into the mysterious world of pirate ships attacking in the Indian Ocean, a more complex and intriguing narrative begins to unfold. What appears to be a random act of piracy on the surface is, in fact, a symptom of a much larger and more sinister issue. The Indian Ocean, a vital trade route connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa, is a hotbed of maritime crime, with pirate ships preying on unsuspecting vessels, plundering their cargo, and holding crew members for ransom. But what is not immediately apparent is the level of sophistication and organization involved in these pirate operations. These are not merely opportunistic attacks, but rather, they are coordinated efforts, often involving corrupt government officials, rogue military personnel, and even international crime syndicates. The pirates themselves are often merely pawns in a much larger game, with the real power brokers remaining hidden in the shadows, pulling the strings and reaping the benefits. One of the most disturbing aspects of these pirate attacks is the apparent lack of response from the international community. Despite the Indian Ocean being one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, with countless vessels passing through its waters every day, the response to these pirate attacks is often sluggish, and in some cases, virtually non-existent. This has led to speculation that certain governments, and even international organizations, may be complicit in these pirate operations, or at the very least, turning a blind eye to them. The consequences of these pirate attacks are devastating, not just for the crew members and the shipping companies, but also for the global economy as a whole. The increased costs of shipping, the loss of revenue, and the damage to international trade relationships all have a significant impact on the global economy. Furthermore, the instability and insecurity created by these pirate attacks also have a profound impact on the regional dynamics, contributing to a sense of lawlessness and undermining the authority of governments and international institutions. As we explore this issue further, it becomes clear that the pirate ships attacking in the Indian Ocean are merely the tip of the iceberg, a symptom of a much larger and more complex problem. The real issue is not just piracy, but rather the underlying factors that create an environment in which piracy can thrive. Corruption, lack of governance, poverty, and instability all contribute to a perfect storm in which piracy can flourish. To truly address this issue, we need to look beyond the surface level and examine the root causes of this problem and work towards creating a more just and equitable society in which piracy is not a viable option. The question is, are we willing to confront the truth and take the necessary steps to address this issue, or will we continue to turn a blind eye and allow piracy to continue to plague the Indian Ocean? As the sun sets over the horizon of the Indian Ocean, the remnants of a devastating attack linger on the waters. The pirate ships, with their tattered sails and rusty hulls, have long since disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of destruction and chaos. The crews of the merchant vessels, caught off guard by the sudden raids, are left to pick up the pieces and assess the damage. The Indian Ocean, once a thriving hub of international trade and commerce, has become a hotbed of piracy and lawlessness. The effects of these attacks are far-reaching, with global trade and economic stability hanging in the balance. As the world watches, the international community is forced to confront the harsh reality of piracy in the 21st century. The Indian Ocean, with its rich history and strategic importance, has become a battleground in a war against terrorism and piracy. The fate of global trade and economic stability hangs in the balance, as the world struggles to come to terms with the scale and complexity of the problem. With each passing day, the threat of piracy continues to grow, leaving the future of the Indian Ocean and global trade hanging precariously in the balance, awaiting a solution.